If you are struggling with your baby's weight gain and you're worried like, oh, are they just not getting enough fatty milk? Do I need to make my milk fattier?
Hey, Mama Bear. Welcome to the Breastfeeding with Confidence podcast. Do you dream of bonding with your baby through exclusive breastfeeding, but worry about breastfeeding pain or low milk supply? Maybe you're struggling with breastfeeding and no one seems to have any answers. I'm Jaimie, doula, international board certified lactation consultant, and mom of 5, and I have been where you are. After working through painful latches, milk supply worries, and postpartum depression, and supporting countless mothers through their breastfeeding journeys for over 8 years, I'm here to tell you breastfeeding doesn't have to be perfect to be positive. Each week, I'll share breastfeeding tips to help you prevent and overcome unexpected breastfeeding challenges so you can actually enjoy bonding with your baby. If you are ready to shut out the toxic whispers of the world, embrace your God-given intuition, and release your inner fierce mama bear, grab some coffee or your favorite herbal tea, and let's dive in.
Hello and welcome back to the Breastfeeding with Confidence podcast. Today I will be answering a question from an Instagram follower about how long we should be nursing our babies, specifically to ensure that they get that fatty hind milk. We'll dig deeper into that soon, but first I wanted to let you know I have a new free resource available for you. It is called the 5 Mistakes That Can Sabotage Breastfeeding. And if you are new here, if you are pregnant and planning to breastfeed, or if you are struggling with breastfeeding and trying to figure out what the heck is going wrong and you're just not quite sure, this guide outlines the 5 most common mistakes or misconceptions that can ruin breastfeeding before you even really get started. There's good news. They are preventable and fixable. So if you want that, you can go ahead and grab your free at littlebearlactation.com/mistakes. That is mistakes with an S on the end. You can go ahead and type that into your web browser, or you can click the link in the show notes and grab your copy so that you can start rewriting your breastfeeding journey. All right, so I had somebody message me in the DMs asking, how long should I nurse my baby on each side to make sure that they're getting that fatty hind milk so that they gain more weight? And this is a pretty common question, but I realize there seems to be a lot of misconceptions around it too. So first, let's talk about hind milk and foremilk, and then we'll kind of talk more about how long we should be nursing on each side and what to do if you feel like your baby's not getting enough milk, or what to do if you feel like your baby's not gaining enough weight. All right, so first of all, hind milk and foremilk. Some people think of foremilk as being the first milk that your baby gets at the beginning of the feed, where it tends to be more watery. And people consider hind milk the milk that's at the end of the feed, or quote, the back of the breast, and that is more fatty, a higher fat concentration. So the truth is, this is kind of a myth that there are 2 separate kinds of milk. It's all breast milk. It is all breast milk. There is no specific point in the feeding that your milk turns from not fatty to fatty. It's kind of like a gradual shift, and it's very different for every mom, every baby, based on the time of day. If it is hot outside and your baby needs more water, they'll get more of that foremilk that's a little less fatty, whereas if they need more calories, if they need more fat, they need more energy, they're going to get more of that fatty milk. Your body actually responds to what your baby needs. It's amazing how it works. Another thing you can do to kind of make sure your baby is getting all the fatty milk that they can, if you are really concerned about that, is breast massage, or even like shaking your breast before feeding them. I know it sounds kind of silly, but if you just grab your breast and like gently move it around counterclockwise and then clockwise before feeding them, that can kind of mix the milk up a little bit, just like if you were to consider the cream separating in a gallon of non-homogenized milk. Um, some of you might not have ever seen that, but like raw milk, or there are some pasteurized milks that are non-homogenized, and the cream separates and sits at the top. You see that when you pump, right? The cream separates and sits at the top. It's kind of like shaking it up, right? You just shake your breast up a little bit. That can help make sure those sticky molecules of milk are not sticking to the sides of the milk ducts and just mixing in. But there's no specific time period that you should be feeding your baby. Honestly, it should be very baby-led. We should be watching babies cues, and needs. So what I do recommend is making sure that your baby completes their feed on the first breast. Don't try to time how long they're on each breast and switch them in the middle to make sure it's equal on each side. Feed your baby on one side, let her finish, let her nurse until she's done, and then you can go ahead and burp her and offer the other side. When you start your next feed, the side that you ended on will be the side you start on, and you'll do the same thing. Now, here's what we really need to think about. If your baby's weight gain is a concern and you're trying to get them extra fatty milk to help them gain more weight, you're probably spending your energy focusing on the wrong thing. If your baby is struggling with weight gain, there's concerns about weight gain, we need to be looking at how effective their latch is, how much milk they're transferring, how frequently they're feeding. There's so many things that we need to consider. It's not all about duration. It is not all about getting the hind milk, because there are plenty of babies who are getting the hind milk and are not gaining weight. Similarly, there are plenty of babies who seem like they're nursing for a really long time, so you assume they're getting plenty of hind milk. I say that with quotes. You can't see my air quotes every time I say the word hind milk, by the way. You assume they're getting hind milk because it seems like they're nursing for a really long time, but it turns out they're not actually transferring as much as you think they are. So a few things that you can look for is, what do your baby's diapers look like? How many diapers are they having a day? Are they having a lot of pees and no poops? Are they having a ton of poop? We really want to dig into what those diapers are looking like. Are they content between feeds? Are they alert between feeds? And I want you to remember that if your baby is not gaining weight well and there are concerns about their weight gain, it's not your fault. You are not doing something wrong. You were probably given some really crappy advice, and someone is probably telling you to question your instincts. And a lot of people make slow weight gain out to be about the mom being broken or the milk not being good enough. And that is almost never, ever true. So if you are struggling with your baby's weight gain and you're worried, like, oh, are they just not getting enough fatty milk? Do I need to make my milk fattier? That is not where you need to be focusing your energy. We need to be focusing our energy on latch, feeding efficiency. If you know you have a strong milk supply, that's what we really need to focus on. If you're concerned about your milk supply as well, then we need to start looking into your health. We need to be looking at feeding habits. There's so many things we need to look at. And so what you can do is you can go ahead and you can download the Breastfeeding Success Bundle, because that has a Fix Your Latch guide in there. It talks about all about milk supply. There's a milk supply guide and there's a tongue tie guide, which I am not saying your baby has a tongue tie. However, if we have concerns about latching and feeding efficiency, and the first two guides, the milk supply guide and the Fix Your Latch guide, don't seem to have all the answers, you might be starting to wonder if maybe your baby has a tongue tie, if there's a reason that they're not being able to get that good latch and demand that milk. So then you might consider the tongue tie guide to be a helpful resource. That is a $99 bundle, which I'm offering to you guys for $27. And if you get that bundle, it will lay out for you what is normal, what is not normal, what are red flags, signs you need help. And if you decide that you really do need that personalized guidance, I am offering virtual concierge breastfeeding support. And you might be like, what is that? Those are a lot of words. When we work together virtually, I want to make sure that you are getting the best care possible. That means you're not just booking one visit and we're kind of getting a plan, getting a little bit figured out, and then you're left to figure it out on your own. When you book a visit with me, messenger support between consultations and messenger support for up to 2 weeks after your final consultation. And if you need more consultations, you need more follow-up, we just add it onto your package. So this is a really high touch kind of support where you are so much more than a number. You are literally having your hand held by me. And if you listen to Friday's episode, one of my former clients, Chelsea, is joining us, and she's talking all about her journey overcoming tongue tie and her really early breastfeeding challenges with her baby. And one of the things she said was working with me in this capacity was like having me as her best friend. And that is the goal. It is having somebody whose goals and values are aligned with yours, who sees you and who is trying to help you get answers, not just quick fixes, but real solutions. And that is what you get when you book an appointment with me. It's not just a one and done 15-minute consult. It is a full 90-minute consult where we dig deep, we uncover what is going on, we create a plan, and then we stay in touch. I help you implement that plan. We have follow-up to make adjustments to that plan as needed. And then we just kind of, figure out what we need to do and what we need to change and how we can make that progress that you deserve. Because the truth is, breastfeeding might be really hard right now, and it might not be perfect, but it can be positive. We can rewrite your story to be positive, where you don't feel so hopeless, where you don't feel so helpless, where you feel seen and heard. You feel confident in the decisions you're making instead of feeling like you're making decisions out of fear and being worried and being pressured into things that go against your instincts. You have space to take the information I share with you, run it through the instinct filter, and make confident decisions with me by your side, helping you figure out how to make it work for you and your goals and your plans in your life. If that sounds like something that you're like, I'm raising my hand, yes, this is the support I need, I want you to go ahead and either click the link in my show notes or go to littlebearlactation.com and click Get Help at the top of the screen. It'll give you more information on booking your first visit. Now, if you have any other questions that you would like to have featured on the podcast, please go ahead and drop them in my DMs on Instagram at littlebearlactation, or you can email them to me at jaimiezaki@littlebearlactation.com, and we'll feature your question on an upcoming episode of the podcast.
All right, Mama Bear, that is a wrap for today. If this episode helped you feel a little more confident or a little more prepared for breastfeeding, can I ask you a quick favor? Go ahead and leave me a review. It helps other moms find this podcast and join us in this amazing community of fierce and confident Mama Bears. And hey, if you know a friend who could use some encouragement or real talk about pregnancy, breastfeeding, and all things motherhood, share this episode with her. You've got this, Mama Bear. Trust your instincts. Stay fierce, and I'll catch you in the next episode.